he's answering. This is going to be on the lab record. Not spleen, because the spleen does not have a medulla or a cortex in the right area. Thymus. We have a delicate capsule, we have trabecula. It's divided up into lobules, which you do not find in the spleen. We have a cortex and then a centralized medulla. So if we look at that again, there's the cortex, there's the medulla. That constitutes a lobule. So we have a lot of lobules in that. And going on to the next slide, what is that structure right there? This is in the same organ, and that is a Hassel's corpuscle, made up of reticuloendothelial cells. And that's probably a reticuloendothelial cell right there and also there.
Dr. Feely, do we need to spell things correctly in order for our answer to be correct on our article?
Damn close.
Okay. So if I don't know how many S's or L's are in Hassel's, it's fine.
I have the same problem with Meissner's. I never know how many S's to put in that. I do not spell well, so I have always referred back to one of our famous presidents, Andrew Jackson, who said, "It is a poor mind indeed that can only think of one way to spell a word." Okay. It's got to be something readable. It has to be at least phonetic. Okay. How about this organ? This is spleen, and that would be the capsule, and this portion of that organ is called what? White matter. This would all be red matter. Going back to spelling, one of the professors you'll have next semester was a graduate student, one of my friends from UNL who is now retired. He used to teach the anatomy course down there for PE majors, pre-health majors, and they were giving a lab practical. They used to have their labs here. And this was Dr. Hausch, who you have in physiology. She was correcting a lab practical. She said, "Dr. Johnson, so-and-so got them all wrong, except one. Should I count it right?" This kid literally got everything wrong in the lab practical. He got one right, but he had misspelled it. "Well, should I give him credit for it, even though it's misspelled?" And Dr. Johnson said, "Hell no, this is a university." So just be thankful you guys have it as easy as you do. Okay, well this right here is that white pulp, and right there, what is that structure right there? Central artery, and immediately surrounding that is what? Aha! Periarterial lymphatic sheath. Well, what is this structure hanging from that, more or less? It's a lymphatic nodule, but specifically that's called what? Splenic nodule. And that structure right there and right there, what are those? Splenic sinuses or venous sinuses. And there's another one right there, and in between those two we would have what? Splenic cord or Billroth's cord. So this tissue out here, or this pulp out here, is what? Red pulp. Okay, well there's another central artery right there with the periarterial lymphatic sheath. There's a trabeculum. Oftentimes you'll find a vessel in that trabeculum, and there's a germinal center in a splenic nodule. And then out here would be red pulp. And this is a close-up of red pulp. There is a venous sinus, and you can just get a hint of those stave-like endothelial cells which line that splenic sinus. So that allows access from the blood in the pulp to go into the splenic sinus or the venous sinus. So in the open system, the blood is going to be dumped into the parenchyma of the red pulp and then finally make its way into those venous sinuses, and eventually into the splenic vein, which will join the portal vein. And that's the same thing, so let's go ahead and go on. Okay, how about that cell right there? Osteoclast, right. An osteoclast. And how about these cells? Osteoblasts. And what is that layer we see right there specifically? Osteoid. And that would be a osteocyte. How about this tissue? Any guesses? Not elastic cartilage, because elastic cartilage, all of our slides will be stained to show the elastic fibers, but you're close. Fibrocartilage, right. So you can see the collagen type 1 fibers in there. We have some short rows of chondrocytes in there. And bear in mind that fibrocartilage will kind of blend in with other tissues. How about this tissue right here? Now I should apologize, this is a different stain, but that shouldn't make any difference. But what is that? Dense, irregular connective tissue, and in here we have loose connective tissue. How about this tissue? Right there, right there, right there. What is this? Dense, regular connective tissue. And this would be what? White fat, unilocular adipose tissue. And this tissue, what do we have here? Hyaline cartilage. What's that layer? Perichondrium. And this would be a isogenous group, and the little different staining we see around those is called territorial matrix. Okay, now what's this tissue? One more time. Elastic cartilage. Okay, and that layer out there would be perichondria, kind of pulled away from the elastic cartilage. And those fibers would be plastic fibers. And what is this tissue? Compact bone, lamellar bone, and all of these little fine lines that we see in there, what are those? Analeculi. And around the outside, we have a cementing line. Actually, we'll see better cementing lines when we get to the alveolar bone next semester. For some reason, they show up very nicely in that particular bone. And right in the center would be conversion canal, and this would be a osteon. And that's all of those lines. Any questions? I will open up the lab. You have Dr. Harn next, is that right? Yeah. Oh, joy. And you got him for 2 hours. Okay. I'll open up the lab and the microscope cabinets and the slides at noon if you guys want to go in. And then we'll have the lab at 1 o'clock. Do I have all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we have a lunch and learn today, right? That's for groups, and so we kind of all have to be there.
Okay. All right. Well, screw that then. Okay. Well, we'll see you in lab this afternoon.